What is up, party people? We are here with Off Trail with Luke and Chandler. I'm Luke,
I'm Chandler.
and this is Off Trail. Today, we are going to start a little two-part series for all y'all at home. We are going to go through our individual photo journeys
Yeah.
and like where we started and work all the way through to where we are at this current moment. And, you know, just talk about all the steps in between. Be kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of a way for you to see progress in our work, especially in Chandler's.
Yeah.
And, you know, just be a fun thing to do. Is I think it's a way to show that, like, we're human.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, it's just a good way to connect with all of you.
Yes.
And so it'll be good to go through all this. So today, we're going to be doing Chandler's
Yeah.
photo journey. And then next episode, we'll do mine. So be sure to tune in to both so you can hear both stories. But today we're going to start out with you, Chandler, and I'm just going to let you take it away and show us, you know, where you started from.
Oh boy.
It's going to be fun.
Where we started from. Where we started from is not it's not a pretty place.
No,
No,
it's
at all.
not.
Which is funny because like I haven't really dug back through a lot of my stuff in a while. But I noticed that the longer time goes on and when I look back, like the worse my old stuff gets, you know?
Well, you know,
It's-
got to start from somewhere.
Gotta start from somewhere, yeah. All right, so we just have these images on our phones, but we'll pop them up on
Yeah,
the screen.
we don't have the
so-
big iPad today, so
Yeah.
you get what you get.
Get what you get. Don't throw a fit. So I broke mine up, my little photo journey up into 3 different segments. Let me get to my thing here. So first off, I have what I'm calling my iPhone phase. Because for a lot of people, you know, most people who don't know, I started taking photos with my iPhone because I was like, wasn't totally sure on if I was going to get into this photography thing. But I spent almost a year taking photos with my iPhone. So I have my iPhone phase, and then I have the first year of using an actual camera. I bought a Canon 6D and a bunch of old lenses, and this was my first year with my camera. That's kind of my second phase. And then my third phase, I have it marked as just my lifetime phase, but it's kind of like my professional photographer phase.
Your good phase.
My good phase, yeah. When I kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
So, so to start off for the iPhone phase, I wanted to share the first photo that I ever got with my phone, where I took this picture. We were just on a hike up on the front hills of Mount Timpanogos, and I took this picture, and I got back to my house, and I was going through some of the different pictures that I took, and I didn't go out there with the intent of like taking photos. It was just like as a hiking thing. For a lot of people who don't know, Bushwhackers started as just a hiking thing. We were just wanted to get out into the outdoors. It wasn't photography, and so this is when Bushwhackers started. We were out hiking around and took some pictures and got back home, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like it was kind of when it first hit me that I could take photos of this stuff and I can make it look good. That I had somewhat of an eye for it. You know, I obviously had to go through and really develop that eye, but as we'll see here in just a second.
Yeah.
But I think this was the first photo that I ever took where I was like thinking to myself that I had something here, that I could find a way to get good at this, and it was something that I knew that I could pick up and I would be pretty good at. So that's the first photo. Just a cool little photo of sunset on Mount Timpanogos. It's one of my favorites, even though it's funny looking at this photo because it's not like a bad photo.
No, it's actually not.
It's
a pretty
good.
good photo.
Yeah. I would have edited it differently
Sure.
now,
Yeah.
but
But for back then, like, it's actually
It's-
a pretty good.
it's good.
Yeah.
So we start off with that photo, and then we go into figuring out just how to do this whole photo thing, figuring out compositions, what looks good, what doesn't look good. And I've got a couple bad examples here. First off, I want to talk about
Blue Betty.
this Blue Betty photo. I don't know what I was thinking.
Wow.
But this is taken from the hills up above Utah Lake, and I don't know
It's
what.
blue.
It's very blue, and I'm not sure. Like, it's with an iPhone, so that there's no like focal length is wrong for this kind of a photo. There's half of a corner of a Humvee in the photo, and everything's just dead. Like, it's not good.
It's a solid.
It's a
piece of garbage.
yeah, it really is. This should have been flushed down the disposal.
Yeah.
But this was kind of when I was trying to figure out, editing, because I edited it to look more like that.
Wait, so you made this blue?
I made this blue.
Bro, that's...
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was trying different things, trying to figure it out, and this is just kind of the process, you got to go through.
Yeah,
when
the vignette's nice, too.
Oh, yeah. It's a good, little vignette slider.
Yeah,
I don't think I was using Lightroom yet. I don't know what I was
Oh.
using, but I don't think this was in... I hadn't heard of Lightroom when I was editing this photo.
It shows.
Yeah. Yeah, not a great photo. Another one that's not great is this photo of... It's up on the Wasatch. I can't remember the name of it, of the mountain that it's on. But the mountains across the way are like that's where Silver Lake is, and it's kind of up above Tibble Fork. Mill Peak. This is in the Mill Peak area.
Gotcha.
And I don't know, in person, this is one of the things about photography is a lot of things look really nice to your eyeballs. A lot of things look really good and photogenic to you, like when you see them in person, but it doesn't always mean they'll work in a photo. And this was one of those cases where I got out and I was like, oh, this scene is super cool, and pulled out my iPhone and take a little picture.
Yeah, yeah, and that is a real thing. Like a lot of people, we get asked all the time, like, "Oh, aren't you gonna take a photo of that?" It's like, no,
yeah,
like there's a difference between something that is beautiful,
yeah,
when you're there looking at it, but it's not the greatest for a photo.
Yeah,
and people just don't understand.
People don't understand that. Yeah. Another nice little L on this photo is the post in the way.
Hey, it's a nice post.
It is a really nice post, but yeah, no.
Did you post this photo?
It's funny, I did. But yeah, no sense of edge patrol or anything like that. So, another bad example. I do have, however, some examples where I think I pulled it off. There's this one photo here where it's from on top of Mount Timpanogos. Nice little sunrise. We hiked up there for sunrise. Pretty standard composition. Nothing too crazy. It's not.
It's good.
It's a good photo.
Solid photo.
Yeah. I've always loved this photo. I got a couple other ones from that little hike that from this vantage point that I really like. And this is one of those photos where when I took it, I was like, oh, okay, I can see what I did here. That was right, and versus what makes this better, I guess, than some of those other ones that I was editing. And then I have some of the first times where I started going out and trying to actually hunt for my own photos. So the first time I ever did this, I woke up on a morning in November, and I remember I decided I was going to go do this, like, I don't know, very late the night before, and I was like, there's this spot up above Traverse Mountain, this little monument thing called Alien Tower, just a bunch of metal formed into a pyramid. It's kind of cool. Easy little hike. It's like a mile. Anyways, I was like, I wanted to hike up there and take photos of the sunrise. I was like, that's what the professionals do. And so I climbed up there and, got a cool sky, cool sunrise and stuff. It's not necessarily the perfect photo. The horizon's crooked and stuff. And, then again, it's a panel with an iPhone, so it's not great, but like the bones are there.
No, like, that's what you can tell. It's like you can tell like you're getting it a little bit more.
Yeah,
and like you said, like you're really trying.
Yeah,
like the effort is there.
The effort is there. Yeah,
you're getting up in the morning, you're going for a hike. Like
mm-hmm.
you're really trying to take that step up.
Yeah,
and it just hasn't quite like actually been realized yet, but it's coming.
Yes. Yeah, so there's that pano, and then there's this actual photo of, Alien Tower. I loved these photos when I first took them. I was like, these are the best things I've ever taken.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah, but it was fun. That's when I actually started putting more effort into the photos that I was taking. And then another time, this was maybe a week later, me and some friends went out to the Spiral Jetty. And one morning, again for sunrise, and I was taking some photos, and I got this one of the little salt crystals that are on the ground. And for the longest time, for probably the next like 8 months, this was my favorite photo that I had taken. There's the part where there's the journey, I guess, that we actually took to get there, because we had never been there. We decided to go at 4:30 in the morning one morning, and like we had gotten up to go hike something else. I can't remember exactly what it was, but then the forecast was bad, and we were like, we probably shouldn't go, but we don't want, like, it's 4:30 in the morning, we're standing here in a parking lot, let's go do something. And so we decided to make the 2.5-hour drive up to the Spiral Jetty. So there's like the effort that went into it, and then there's also this is when I first started kind of playing with depth of field a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell, because that's shallow AF.
It's shallow AF, yeah, and it was taken with an iPhone, And that's the thing. That's what's funny about iPhones. If you know how to use an iPhone, you can get decent stuff out of it.
Yeah.
That's why we like to recommend people using their iPhones when they're first getting into photos.
Absolutely.
It's a great starter camera.
Well, and I think it's like and as you'll see, like throughout this whole video, like your story, your journey is just a testament to the idea that you can become a great photographer by starting on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to go get all the gear right away.
No.
Like, learn a lot of the basics like you did with your phone. And then when you're actually ready for it, jump up.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, and again, there's some things I wouldn't take this photo now. I would take it differently.
Sure.
Because I do like, still to this day, looking back, I do like how the light is reflecting off the little pieces of salt and stuff. There's a lot of things that I like about it.
Yeah. I think a macro shot could be cool too.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, so taking this a little bit differently now, like I can visualize how I would take it differently now. But again, just building those building blocks, setting the building blocks for actually getting more into doing better photography. So I think that concludes the iPhone phase.
Your trial phase.
The trial phase,
the
yes.
free trial of Chandler.
Exactly. Before I actually...
Now you had to pay for stuff.
Now I actually had to buy stuff. So I don't actually... I thought I put the first photo I took, but I didn't. I took like the second or third. Or I put the second or third photo I took with it. So I picked up a camera, bought a Canon 6D from our good friend Cody Updike.
Cody, you the man.
Yeah.
You got Chandler started on all this.
Found him on Facebook and bought his camera. I didn't know that I would become buddies with him later. So that was kind of cool when we started going out with him.
Yeah.
But bought my camera from him, bought a lens. It was an old lens from 1997.
Kind of old.
Yeah. Little 28 to 135 zoom lens. I don't know. It's funny. It's an old lens, but like I kind of like it. And maybe it's just because it's a sentimental thing. It's not like a great lens, but anyways. So I picked up the lens, picked up the camera, and me and my buddy Kalen went out into I think it was Hobble Creek down in Payson, and went out and just started taking photos. And again, I was using all these concepts of depth of field and all the compositional stuff that I learned from shooting with the iPhone, and I put them into... I basically, I put them into practice. I started actually using them. This isn't a great photo. It's just a stack of wood in front of this, mountain.
Yeah, it's like, again, like you can tell, like it's coming along.
It's coming along.
Yeah.
And then got this picture of Kalen. This was the first time I was ever like, I'm going to try to take like somewhat of a portrait.
An
thing.
Instagrammy shot.
An
Instagrammy someone
shot.
In a place.
Exactly. And a lot of my influences came from Instagram. That's where I started seeing other people's photography. So naturally, kind of mimicking. That's how you learn too, is mimicking what your influences are. So got this picture of Kalen, love it. And then I just started, let's see. Well, actually I have some of the street stuff next, but I think the next big step in my journey. So Bryce Doherty, we all know Bryce. I had never met him before. Again, this was spring of 2021. Never met him before. We started talking on Instagram and decided we need to go do a trip together. Like, he was going to fly out here, and we were going to do a road trip through southern Utah. I'd never done anything like that in my life. I'd never done a road trip. I hadn't been I hadn't been to St. George or southern Utah, even though I grew up there. I hadn't been there in 5-6 years. And the last time that we had gone there, it was like we were passing through to go to a concert, and then we were coming back. I never ever went anywhere. So it was like this big moment, oh, we're going down here. And we were going to specifically chase one photo. And it's the photo that I have right here. I saw this location. I'm not going to say what it is, but a lot of people recognize it.
We're gatekeeping. Suck it.
Yep. Saw this location probably 7 or 8 months prior to actually leaving. And this is before everybody was dropping location pins for it. This was, middle of 2020, so nobody really knew where this was at this point. But I dug in and I spent, I don't know, maybe a day trying to figure out where this sucker was, scouring Google Maps and everything, and really trying to figure out where this was. And then I found it, figured out where it was, and then Bryce was like, hey, we should do a trip. And I was like, what if we went here? I was like, this is not that far. He's like, yeah, we have to. And one of the coolest experiences in my life. I don't think I'll ever forget what it was like to be in this spot for the first time.
I mean, I think that's a spot that everyone, no matter what your story is, you kind of remember seeing that for the first time.
You do, yeah.
It's a big moment.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's a neat place. It's one of my favorites. And we've been back there. I don't know, I've probably been back there 6-7 times now.
Yeah, several times.
Yeah, and it never gets old. But these photos that I got on that trip are my favorites that I've gotten from there. There's one here that I have where the Spire is kind of off to the right.
That's printed.
It's printed, and I actually won an award in a photo competition for it. So, just a little, proud moment for me.
Boast a little bit.
Boast a little bit,
it's okay.
Yeah. So that was a huge step for me. I'd never done anything like that ever before in my life, and got back from that and really started trying to figure out a lot more of this photo stuff, diving more into street photography and product stuff. I've got a couple photos here. There's this one that has a parking entrance sign. It's one of my favorite street photos I've ever taken. I just, I had seen other people doing it on Instagram. I had seen, a lot of the guys that a lot of us watch on YouTube, Peter McKinnon, Matty Apoy, a lot of those guys, a lot of them doing stuff like this. So I was like, I want to go out and try that. I want to go see if I can get something that's cool, try to stretch my abilities a little bit. So went out, was doing a lot of that stuff, doing a lot of this macro stuff with just little knickknacks and stuff around my house.
Those shots are nice.
Yeah, dude.
They're clean.
Yeah. It's funny. I just set these on the table that we have upstairs, and then the light that was at my apartment that I was living in at the time, the light that came through the sliding glass door was just perfect for this stuff.
Yeah, the one with the open watch is perfect.
Yeah. So those are some of my favorite product photos. I mean, they're not technically products, but they're
detail shots.
They're detail shots, yeah. And again, just practicing macro stuff. I remember I had a little bit of a tricky thing with those that I had to figure out, because I was like, I'm going to shoot this on my nifty 50 all the way wide, 1.8, so that I can get enough light in to see it, and then everything was ending up way too shallow. I was like, I can't, this 1.8 thing isn't working out. And I was like, I don't know how to do this, and I had to actually figure out, I can shoot at a tighter aperture. I just have to pull my shutter speed back, and it'll get the same effect. So it's just
learning those settings.
Shooting
Shooting on manual.
I have never shot on. I don't actually know how to shoot on auto.
Yeah, I literally have never shot on auto.
I never have.
Yeah, but I was manual day one.
Yeah, which I'm so glad I did that. And anybody starting out in photography, start shooting in manual.
Yeah, just learn it.
Yeah. You learn your camera so much better.
And you just comprehend like everything about photography better.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
When you learn how to actually change things.
Exactly. Yeah. So the next thing, so I went through, this was all like in the spring and summertime of 2021. And in fall, I went on a little solo trip through southern Utah and Arizona.
Is this when Chandler becomes the adventurer?
This is when Chandler becomes the adventurer.
Oh,
yeah.
I like this.
Oh,
I like
boy.
this chapter.
Yeah, this is a good chapter in the book. I spent about 10 days out just living in my car, just driving around, just kind of doing what like Ben does, Road
Yeah.
Wanderer. Yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing things. A lot of these spots I'd never been to before. You know, the Grand Canyon, Monument Valley. And I just planned this little route through southern Utah and Arizona, went through. And when I got back up into the Lake Powell area, I got up for sunrise one morning, was taking photos, and I was like, I'm going to put myself on this arch. Like, I feel like a person can go there, and I usually don't. I mean, I didn't get into photography to take photos of myself, you know? So, like,
yeah.
I don't usually do that. And it's a very Instagram-y shot. But I was like, this could be kind of a cool little idea. And I feel like this photo, while I don't look back on it and be like, this is a great photo, and this was some moment to me improving my photography, I think it really marked a moment of where I was kind of transitioning into being more open to traveling, because I never really had up until that point. You know, we did the Southern Utah trip with Bryce, and up until that point, I really hadn't like traveled much. So after that trip, I made it a point to travel to a lot of different, like I guess my world became a little bit bigger, in terms of the places that I was able to go. Because I'd always been like, oh, if it's an hour away, I don't want to drive that far. But now it's like 4 hours.
No, piece of cake.
Piece of cake. That's easy. So I think that just opened up like a whole world to me, and started traveling a ton. At least, in the local Western
it's
United
kind of neat
States.
because like this photo, like with what you just said, like it opened up a whole new world for you. Like this photo almost like visually represents that too.
Yeah.
Like the whole vast, desert is out in front of you. There's the hole in the middle, like it's just open, and like you're looking out to like I'm going there.
Yes, exactly.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, next step. I have this photo of Goblin Valley.
I love this photo.
I do too.
This is a great photo.
Yeah. And this is, so I had always obviously been practicing on my editing. This is where I feel like my editing took another little step forward. You and I actually was bouncing some editing ideas off of you with this photo.
Yeah.
Because we had just met. And you're like, what if you just like, I was like, I can't figure this out. Like I feel like it could be really cool, but I'm not sure quite how to get it there. And like, what if you put a little vignette on it?
Money.
And I was like, oh, I didn't ever even thought about that. Like using radial filters and stuff. Like I had never really thought that was like an option. I thought vignetting was like
The vignette slider.
the vignette slider. Yeah. And I was like, the pros don't use the vignette slider, And so that's when I really started starting to hone in my editing abilities. And that's where a lot of like my journey from here on is more so my editing.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of compositional things, but like that moment really pushed me to be a lot more thoughtful about my edits. Because before then it was just basic sliders,
Yeah.
like nothing super crazy.
More like local adjustments and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously going further from there, but
Yeah. So
no, and the tones are perfect in that shot there. Oh, it's so good.
yeah, I love how that one turned out. I always kind of forget about it because it was so long ago.
It was.
Long
Like
as-
I remember when we talked about this photo,
Yeah.
like in person. Yeah.
It was like a year and a half ago when we
Yeah.
talked about it. So that one, love that photo. That one also kind of marks. I mean, it was taken around the similar time that the one on the arch was, but the edit for it wasn't done until a couple months later.
Yeah.
Next off, the drone era. Once the drone is introduced into my photography,
It's a
So
big piece.
yeah. And I picked up my drone October of 2021, a Mavic Air 2. It's a good drone.
Solid.
Solid drone. And again, this is just another time where I feel like my world to photography has just opened up, because now I can take things from a lot of different places. You know, like I'm not limited to where I'm standing.
The drone does that for sure.
Yeah. And I started, I think one of the first places that I got photos from this is this cinder cone that's down in St. George.
Was that when we went as a big group?
Yeah. This wasn't the first time I had used it, but this is the first photo that I got that I was like, oh, this is a good photo. Which is funny, I've never posted this photo. So, and you can see us.
Yeah, I can see us in there.
Whoa, jeez. But
Excuse you.
Excuse me. Oof. So, got some cool photos of Southern Utah, because January we kind of hit
hard.
January really hard.
Yeah.
Of 2022.
Yeah. 22. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I used the drone a ton. So I have several images here. These Rainbow Hills.
That's me.
With you.
I'm laying down.
And then, the swell.
That's a cool place too.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these spots that we went to. There's Shiprock. Where, like, if we didn't have a drone, I wouldn't have been able to get these shots. And then we have Veins of the Earth.
This photo changed everything for the world of photography.
Changed the entire game. The culture of photography shifted after this was posted.
Yeah, I mean, no greater caption has ever been written.
No.
I mean, this caption changed the caption game.
It really did.
Just like Rudolph changed the reindeer game.
I am Rudolph.
You're basically like Rudolph, man.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great shot, obviously, but yeah. I remember this posted in the caption. It's like, now you can't live it down.
No.
You know, like half the time when I see shots of this place or similar kind of veiny looking photos of other places, I almost instantly say a great photographer once said, "Veins of the Earth."
Yeah, you always. Yeah, you're.
It's happened many times.
Yeah. Yeah, I will never live that down.
Nope.
Which is so funny, because like when I posted this photo on Instagram, like I wasn't like, oh, this is an amazing cat. I was just like, whatever, Like I didn't put a second thought to it. I was just like, I don't know. It's kind of a funny.
And now it's stuck.
Now it's stuck. You thought it was.
You better put more thought into your captions.
I know, seriously. Which is funny, because like we have a couple friends who've used it as well. Kai's used it. Somebody else used it. I think there's a few people I've seen who have used it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like it came from me, because they didn't know. I made a comment about it on their thing, and like they're like, "Oh, you did," and also this was like a year and a half ago, but it is just kind of funny. So I'm not the only one. Gosh.
Wow.
But
You were the first that I know of.
First, yeah. So, yeah, that was. I think the drone was another little.
Oh, the drone's a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I got mine too. It's like, whoa, this is different and a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you have so many different perspectives that, like, you just can't get with the camera. So
Yeah, exactly.
opens up so many more possibilities.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much sums up the first year with the camera. I mean, I did get into a little bit of astro stuff too. I've got a couple astro photos on here.
Yeah. It's the last one for me. It's a really good one. The landscape
Yeah.
orientation.
I love that
Just
photo.
the framing with the Milky Ways.
Yeah.
Perfect. Fills the
Yeah.
frame nice. I guess the Toadstools one's good too.
Yeah.
That one is good.
Astro's fun. I want to do more astro this year.
I know. I'd like to. I always say I want to, and then
Yeah.
like last year I never did because you just have to stay up late. I don't like
It's
doing that.
It's a big commitment. Yeah.
At least early in the season.
Yeah. So that pretty much concludes my first year with the camera, which leads us into what I have titled here is the lifetime phase.
Your
or
pro phase.
The pro phase, yeah. So I got a job as a photographer.
Yep. He finally got good.
Finally got good. And that kind of changed. How are we doing on time?
Oh yeah, we should probably reset that a little
Aye.
bit. So, we good? I think we're good, right?
We are good.
Okay, back
We are back.
to Chandler's pro phase.
Yeah.
Finally gets good.
Finally
Let's
figured
hear how
out.
this goes.
Yeah. I don't know how they hired me. I don't know why they hired me.
Yeah, I asked that same question too.
If you saw those photos,
Yeah.
those first ones. So the beginning of what we're calling the pro phase, the lifetime phase. So, for those of you who don't know, I work for Lifetime Products as one of their photographers and videographers. It's very commercial-based stuff, but I'm taking photos and doing video work, I mean, almost on a daily basis. I mean,
And all day.
all day, every day, you know, so it's a ton of practice. I get to be around a lot of people who have been doing this for far longer than I am. And so I've learned a ton since working there. And it's been kind of interesting seeing that process of my edits and the way that I take photos and everything change since working there, because I've started being introduced to a whole new style of photography and, you know, whole new arena that's different from just doing the landscape stuff. So I think the first photo that I want to talk about that kind of demonstrates this, I have this photo of this sand dune from Little Sahara, and I actually had taken this photo about, let's see, when was this?
It says August 31st of 2021.
Yes, yep, that's when it was. Yep. Sorry, the date wouldn't pull up on mine. And, excuse me, geez, I'm struggling today.
Hey, that's just you, man.
Yeah,
I'm feeling great.
I know. You look great.
Thanks, man.
Oh, you're welcome. Anyways, took this photo, August 2021. I never really, edited it until, I don't know, it was probably about June, maybe May of 2022. Just kind of sat on it for a while. And then after learning a few things at Lifetime about, you know, different editing techniques and whatnot, I got on here and I edited this. And it's very different from anything I had ever edited before. And I kind of learned how to really push my photos. If I wanted to do something that was really expressive or creative or whatever, I learned how much I could push a photo and still have it look decent. I love this photo. I think it's really cool.
It is.
I do. I mean, in my professional opinion, it is overdone edit-wise.
A little bit now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still love it. I still think it's really cool. And that kind of led into me doing this thing where I went back and re-edited a bunch of photos, and I edited everything in this really dark, kind of moody blue.
Yeah,
but not.
You were feeling yourself.
I was really feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And ended up putting together a bunch of images that were all edited in this same style, and it's not a bad moody blue like that first one that we looked at.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit better, I think.
It's a well done moody
Yes.
shot. Yeah.
Anyways, got all these photos put together in this style, and then I put together a little series called The Weight of Dreams.
The Weight of
Dreams. And I thought it was really cool. It was one of the first times that I had ever really put together a project like that, and it was fun. You know, I don't know that I would. I don't know. It's interesting. I have mixed feelings on that series now. You know, looking back.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just how it is. But
Yeah. I mean, I remember going through that and trying to figure out the captions.
Yeah.
The words you
Yeah,
use to
yeah.
fill out the whole project,
Mhm.
and we were going through that upstairs. And
yeah, it was fun. It was. I mean, that's kind of the biggest takeaway from. You know, it was fun to be able to try to stretch my abilities edit wise, and then also just I don't know. It was just fun to do something different.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So just trying new things and
Yeah, it's really working out your creative muscles.
Yeah.
Not only with the edit, but then also trying to do it in some sort, to some degree, with the words, the captions as well, because you're trying to put a theme to everything. So you're really
Yeah.
thinking abstractly,
yes,
and not just oh, here's a photo.
Yeah.
It's how can I tie all of these things together?
yeah. Think of it as a whole collective.
Yeah.
So, and it was a fun little challenge. I don't know. I recommend anybody if you have something that's kind of sits together pretty consistently, work on putting it into a series. Work on putting it
Yeah.
into some kind of a collection.
Good. It's fun.
Because it's fun. You know. I mean, you're familiar with
Yeah.
collections.
We'll talk about that in mine.
But, and that was a pretty big chunk of time. You know, as far as I was taking photos in between this, but as far as stuff that I was sharing, this series was my focus for 2 months.
Yeah. It took a little while.
It took a little bit. So my whole summer was just sharing photos from the Weight of
From your
Dreams.
dreams.
From my dreams. And Yeah, it was fun. It was cool, and it like I said, it gave me a really good opportunity to really dial in improving my edits and, yeah, like you said, stretching my creative muscles. And with that too, I started. This comes from my work at Lifetime. I kind of got into this point where I was taking a lot more time to be more thoughtful and picky, I guess, about my photos. Like we would go on shoots at work, and we would come back with several hundred photos, and I would have to narrow them down. It kind of forced me to, like, how do I narrow all these photos down into a select group of photos, because we only need 30, 40 photos per shoot. I don't need 300 or 400. And if we're doing like a basketball shoot, we're getting upwards of 900 photos sometimes because we're
the motion
and everything.
There's a lot of frames you're getting.
So it really forced me to learn how to get the photos that I want the first time, and not just going out and spraying and praying, as they say. It caused me to be a lot more picky and thinking about what I was doing, the compositions I was taking, how it was going to look afterwards, how I could edit it. So just something that, another way that working for Lifetime just kind of helped to, I think, push my skills just to another level. And so, and that's how I am today. Like when for example, actually we went to Southern Utah, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we went to Capitol Reef National Park, and I barely took any photos. But the photos I did take, I really like.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go out and just take photos of everything. It kind of goes back to our conversation about, we see a lot of things very differently with our eyes, and a lot of things appear very beautiful with our eyes. Just because it looks good to our eyes doesn't mean it'll look good in a photo. So it's just taking that concept and then being picky and being more intentional with the things that you're taking. I don't know. It's just something that I've learned along the way, and working at Lifetime kind of forced that a little bit. So, and I do actually have one of those photos from Capitol Reef on here. Actually, it's one, like I said, it's one of the few photos that I took, but I do really like it. I don't think it's anything that's like real crazy or anything.
It's
but
not a banger.
It's not a banger, but I really like this photo.
It's a solid photo.
It's good. And so that kind of leads me to my next point, which is how all of this commercial work has kind of affected my landscapes. Because the landscapes have always been my big thing, the things that I started out with. And getting into commercial work and shooting stuff that's like, let's see, where did it go? So I have this photo here, guy pushing a sled.
It's a nice snow shovel.
Yeah, great.
I kind of want one now.
Yeah, that's good. That's the point.
It worked.
But subject matter, honestly, not that exciting.
Banger.
I know you're all about those snow shovels.
I like those snow shovel photos.
But the edit on it. So one thing that's been the kind of interesting, I guess, with working at Lifetime is they like very commercial, very clean, very vibrant material, and so learning how to take photos like that and learning how to really dive into utilizing blues and being able to match different tones and warm and cool tones in one photo. That was something that I had never really done before. I was always like I would take a landscape photo and I would crank the temperature to the right because I was like, I needed to be warm because that feels good, know. And learning how to balance those warm and cool tones really helped me to hone in my landscapes and make them feel more true to how the color really is, and feel more like lifelike, feel more like how it would be if you were actually there.
Yeah,
I think.
Natural.
Just natural, yeah. And while still being, vibrant or moody or whatnot, whatever you want to call it. So, and I think a really good example of this is there's this shot of this bridge that we got during our photo challenge back in January. Mm-hmm. Again, this was another shot where, one, I was being a lot more intentional in the photos that I was getting on this trip or this hike. And taking this photo and editing it, I was using a lot of those concepts of balancing warm and cool tones. And, there's a little bit warmer tones in the bridge, which they act as a little bit of a, blinking on the term. They contract well with the rest of the cool tones, basically. And learning how to lean into taking that temperature slider and just pushing it a little bit to the left and, being okay with that. Again, there's a photo here of Capitol Reef.
I love this photo.
I do too. The Capitol Reef one and the Lake Blanche one. Both of those.
Yeah, I'm just too jealous of the Lake Blanche one to give it any credit, but God, it's a great photo.
That was a nice
So jealous
day.
of that.
Yeah. It's funny because your Lake Blanche photo has been hanging on the wall in the house for a year now, and I've seen it every single day. I'm like, I'm going to get a shot like that. And then I did. And I feel like I may have outdone it.
Yeah, no, it's a different, yours is wider,
Yeah.
So, like, it's a different looking shot.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I would say this definitely one up mine. Like, this is so much cooler.
Yeah. And this is one that I'm definitely most proud of. So
and those red rocks are real. Like, it was just looking red that night. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's a good thing to point out. So like I didn't color these rocks red. They're not normally red. Those are like granite cliffs. But to the west, at the night that we were hiking this, there was a fire. So there was all this smoke on the horizon. And when the sun went through it, it lit up all these rocks red. It's part of why I was like, we got to go up there. Like my intention was, one, to take photos of Lake Blanche and Sundial Peak, but hiking up there and seeing like the red light that was coming through the clouds, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is what we're going up here for.
Yeah,
is that red glow?
So jealous of that.
It turned out really cool. I'm really, really happy with how this one turned out. Yeah. Oh, there's several on here. Learning, just like I said, to balance tones and to be more accurate and intentional with the colors that I'm using and my compositions. And so
this was one of your favorite days probably ever of your
probably
life.
in my entire life. Yeah. This was not a day that I was intentional with taking photos.
No, you were all over the place that day.
But this was, that was a good day.
That was a good day.
So, but again, all this stuff just, it comes with practice and whatnot and trial and error and learning different things. And a lot of this stuff comes too from learning different types of photography, which kind of leads me into my final little point. And it's kind of the phase that I'm in now, which, I still have tons to learn. There's always stuff to learn. That's one of my favorite things about photography. It's like you're never done learning.
No.
There's always stuff to learn. There's always new things to explore. And, over the last couple months or so, I've gotten into, taking other things. Like, for example, this macro photo of this bike. I'd never really done stuff like that. I had been familiar with macro photos before, but not in the sense of making it like fine art feeling like this, putting it against a white background and actually lighting it and whatnot. Those are all skills that I picked up from, working in studio and doing, shooting stuff with a white background. So there's that. We have also had, if you have watched our podcast before, that we've had conversations about portraits, and you and I have had a lot of conversations on how to improve portrait photography.
Yeah,
and
you're really trying to learn it.
Yeah, I really am, because it's a really good skill to learn, and if I'm being honest, I'm kind of jealous that like you have that and I don't. Like it's a skill that I want to have, and seeing you do it, it's been something that I've really wanted to learn. And like I said earlier, one of the ways to improve in your photography, in a lot of things, just in general, is to learn from somebody, almost imitate their style and imitate how they do it for a little bit, and then build onto that.
Yeah, and then you can make it your own.
Exactly.
Yeah, find the things that like they're doing in their photos to, that makes them good.
Yeah.
And try to replicate some of that. And then if you want to mimic their editing style, whatever, like do what you want. But then you can really get creative with it and freestyle on your own.
Yeah.
Incorporating a lot of that stuff.
Exactly. And I think this photo here of Carly is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, this is really close to something like I would take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and it wasn't even like, again, this wasn't like I had planned it out. I just had all these things about portrait photography in my head, just kind of running through the back of my head after all of our conversations about it. And we got out there and I saw that she was standing by this railing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a good opportunity here. I can take all the things that I had wanted to, use in portrait photography and put them into practice right here. And I think I'm obviously biased because of the person in it, but I think this is probably my favorite portrait I've ever taken.
No, I think it's your best one.
I think it is.
Yeah. You've done well, my young Padawan.
Thank you. So I'm just in this phase now where I'm trying to learn all these new things, and portraits are one of them. Another thing is street photos. I talked about how I had gotten into street photos when I first started in photography, and then I went really heavy into landscapes. And I hadn't really come back to street photos until watching Saul or you and some of these other photos that, you guys are taking up in Salt Lake. I was like, I got to get back in there. I got to get back into the ring, And we finally did. And I got some street photos that I am really, really, really excited about. I didn't really think that I was going to get anything that I really liked that day, but some of these photos are some of my favorite street photos I've ever taken.
Yeah, they're good.
And they kind of match a style too that I've been going for. There's a guy, and again, imitation, but there's a guy that I've followed for a long time on Instagram. His name is Mind's Eye, and he does a lot of street photo stuff like this. And there's a style that he does that I've always loved and appreciated. And I've always thought, like, I really would love to be able to do something similar to what he does. And this was the first photo, this one right here, of the Wells Fargo building in Salt Lake City, where I took this photo, edited it, took a step back, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I did it. I figured it out, Like, everything clicked. Everything that I was looking for came together, and I got the photo that I have been wanting to get. And then finally, this is interesting because this is photography, but this is a little bit different. This is a composite, and it's a pretty hefty composite.
Yeah, this is cool.
So this was a lot of fun. A lot of people don't, just by looking at this, you totally wouldn't know, but this is actually, I think this is 8 photos combined. There's 5 photos of the people. There's a separate photo that we did for the boom mic, and then there's a separate photo we did for the drone, and then there's the background photo, the photo of the road in the desert. And I spent, 7-8 hours compositing this, drawing in all the shadows, making sure everybody, was edited really well, doing a lot of dodging and burning and stuff like that, cleaning up everything, masking everybody out, and making sure proportions were right, making sure the road worked really well. And this is, it's like I said, this is a little bit interesting because it's not just a straight photo, but this is one of my favorite pieces of photography, I guess, or digital art, I guess, that I've ever made. And I think when I got done making this photo, I was like, oh, it kind of maybe hit me that I can do more than maybe I give myself credit for, and it's interesting because it's, everything about this was done in Photoshop. Every individual edit on every individual person was done within Photoshop. And that's not something that I'd never really done before. I do a lot of edits in Photoshop, but this was the first one that it was purely only done in Photoshop. And Photoshop is kind of a beast of a program. It's a little bit scary, it's a little bit scary to people. It was scary to me for a long time, and something just clicked a few months ago, and I finally figured out what to do to get Photoshop to work how I want it to work to get the photos that I want. So
yeah, and this is honestly, it's really great work because like every part of it is well done, and it's really well balanced with a ton of things. Just we talked about it before, like the people with the stances, the gear itself, like for the whole like video photo team, like it's really well done.
Yeah,
the background's just stock photo you found, but like lighting, colors, like everything is just really well done
Yeah.
to make it like look like how you want.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And that's what's cool about it. Like it takes a lot of the different things that you've learned in photography
Mm-hmm.
and throws it into one giant composite,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like even though it's not one photo, like a lot of your knowledge about all types of photos went into making this for every little part.
Yeah. It really did. Like it took every bit of photo knowledge that I have to make this work. Even to a point down to landscapes, because I had to still kind of edit that.
Yeah, even though it's a stock photo, it's
Yeah.
not yours. You're editing it a little bit just to
Yeah.
make the scene right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was super cool. And it was, the posing was it was collaborative between me and a couple of the other guys who were on the team, but I didn't take the photo of myself. But excuse me. Kind of helped to direct some of the poses,
Yeah.
We were coming up with all the different ideas of ways that people can hold things, and I was directing people like, oh, turn a little bit more to your left, point your feet this way or whatnot, and yeah, I'm really proud of this. I love how it turned out. So, but I think that is a good one to end on.
Yeah,
So-
it's a good finishing point. It's a culmination of a lot of things there.
Yeah.
So, good way to finish it out.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's cool photo journey. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's in a way I think it's kind of important to review that.
mm-hmm.
And not just keep on taking photos. Like look to see where you came from
Yeah,
and like how far you've come and what you've learned, and continue just to try to improve upon that path.
mm-hmm.
Like unless you actually take the time to look at all that stuff, you don't really know what those things are
Yeah.
explicitly.
Yeah, and it helps you learn too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then I think on top of that, it helps you teach
Yeah.
too. Like if anyone else asks you questions, you've actually reviewed your work and you know what you've done well and what you have not done well, and you can actually convey those lessons to other people if they
Yeah.
ask.
exactly.
So it helps just put you in a much better spot of understanding all of photography
Mhm.
as opposed to just keep blindly going on.
Yeah, and I think this is something that I think we talked about a couple days ago. But I think one of the reasons that maybe you and I have progressed at the rate that we have is because you and I both look at our photos with a really critical eye.
Yeah,
Like I look
yeah.
back on all my photos and I hate most of my photos, and I know why I hate them. Like I know exactly what I did to make I know exactly what happened for that photo to not work, and I've learned to make those adjustments and apply those to future work. And I know you've done the exact same thing.
Yeah,
So,
well, and that's also why we do like the photo critiques too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't do it yourself, or like it's just harder to see some of that stuff in your work. So, we offer up our services here at Bushwhackers
oh yeah,
to critique other people's photos and give like some honest feedback about certain things you can improve. And like generally, we're never going to trash your photo. Like most people are sending in photos that are good,
yeah,
and it's just like there are still, even in our own photos, there are still minor things that, like if you improve upon this, like you can make it better. Like in that composite, I told you like there's a way you could slightly make like your posing a little bit better. And like it's great work by you, but like you can still do better.
There's still
Like there's still things to improve upon, and
Yeah.
that's what you always have to remember.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of what I love about ending on that photo, because like you said, it's very much a culmination of everything that I've learned in photos up until now. But then it's also, even in that photo, like you said, there's still little things that it's like I can improve this, 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 and this, and this, and that'll help me in the future. So
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good place to end.
yeah.
For those listening on audio only, we are on all major podcasting platforms. Be sure to follow us and subscribe to those channels. But this is obviously a little more of a visual show, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Be sure to like this video and leave a comment if you have, any stories that you know of Chandler's photo journey. Please share them, especially if you know the ones where he may have crashed his car or sunk his car into the salt flats.
Ooh,
We love those comments.
that is a good one.
Yeah. But be sure to like our stuff there and subscribe to that channel, because we're going to do more. And this was, like we said at the beginning of the episode, the first of 2 in this little series we're doing. This was Chandler's photo journey. We will be releasing my photo journey next week.
Yeah.
So be sure to tune in then so you can kind of see, both of our entire journeys and get to know Bushwhackers more as a whole.
Yeah.
Of where we came from and like how we got to this point.
Yeah.
With our photo careers. So
Love it.
yeah. Hope to see you guys next time. Bye.
See you.